everyone, welcome to today's webinar, SDL Tridion Docs Technical Webinar, Automating Deployments. My name is Christina and I will be your host today. Before the webinar, I have a few housekeeping items to cover this webinar. First, today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session through the same link you are using right now. And also, recording will be shared shortly after the webinar. Second, please feel free to send questions in the Q&A box. We will be answering your question at the end of the session. If you don't get answered during the webinar, we will follow up afterwards. Now I will hand it over to Alexander to begin the presentation.
Hello everyone. Today we will discuss an interesting topic, how to start automating your deployments using PowerShell. So, presenting will be me, Alexander Klimenko, and Denis Havriluk. We are both working on Tridion DX project for Docs part, and Denis spent a lot of time developing different interesting PowerShell scripts, which we want to share with you and explain to show you our achievements. So, firstly, today you will learn what can be automated in Tridion Docs, its installation, its maintenance, sometimes configuration, and how to use ISHDeploy PowerShell module for some most used use cases. So, basic knowledge of Tridion Docs, especially installation part, is preferable, but I believe it would be interesting for people with any background. So this is actually continuation of series of webinar in regards of PowerShell, and the previous webinar was automating task in SDL Tridion Docs using PowerShell, held by Pascal Butels and Dave DeMeyer. So this is just continuation. Actually, for those who are not familiar with PowerShell, there are some information. I believe the people who watch this webinar already know some facts about PowerShell, but actually, briefly, it's a task-based command line shell and scripting language from Microsoft. The PowerShell script usually formed in a form of commandlets. It's small scripts which can be reused, and collection of different commandlets can be grouped and make available even in internal storage, like a repository like Nexus or GitHub or PowerShell gallery. You can store it. This is not just only that we will speak about PowerShell and etc. This is somehow we can say that it's also a call for an action for you, because we are living in an age of collaboration, and there is no sense to do the same stuff again and again, to reinvent the wheel. So this is also for you if you want to take part in developing of those nice cool features for ISHDeploy. You can find us on GitHub and contribute to this project, because I believe that most of you who deal with PowerShell and with installation could somehow add new features, new flavors, and to our repository. So this is not just that we are speaking, this is probably for you to know that you can contribute to our common product. So with these words, I'm passing the word to Denis, who will describe in details everything that we prepared for this presentation. Denis?
Thank you, Alexander. Hello to everybody, and thanks again for attending this webinar. So now I'm sharing my screen, and just going back to slides. So automating with PowerShell. What actually could be automated? Actually, all Tridion Docs pre-installation steps like install third-party software, configuring everything. You can even install Tridion Docs using only a PowerShell and console. Also then, after you install, with the help of ISHDeploy PowerShell module, you can customize installed Tridion Docs. You can manage certificates. Actually, you can do whatever you want. PowerShell is kind of powerful tools and is designed for automation. So how to trigger PowerShell customizing scripts? You can do it always manually, but preferably is to do it like when you try to create your own script, you're trying something, you want to see how it works. Better to use it's automatically, for example, from Windows Task Scheduler is the simplest one, or from some third-party tools like Chef, Jenkins, or whatever you want. So, Tridion Docs pre-installation. We will not touch this topic deep. This is like kind of list of pre-installation steps that you need to do before you install Tridion Docs. So, 8 first steps are actually to do before you install Tridion Docs, and they can be done with each server module and each bootstrap PowerShell module. They're our modules. We wrote them. They're designed for that. But on this webinar, we'll pay attention only to the last one, ISHDeploy, which is used for customizing your deployment. So, ISHDeploy. It's a PowerShell module that provides you some tools to operate Tridion Docs deployments. It's kind of powerful tool. It has some benefits like, first of all, it makes configuration easier. Second, very cool thing, it takes care about Tridion Docs changes in configuration. For example, if in version X you need to touch 3 files to enable one feature, and in version Y you need to touch already 5 files, ISHDeploy will take care by itself. We know which files we need to touch. That's why it provides you some additional human error protection, so now you don't need to edit XMLs by your own. And of course, it provides you some reusability and replayability. You can write script once and run it everywhere you want and get the same expected result. So ISHDeploy is actually open source, so you can always find it on GitHub. You can even contribute something if you want. Some examples and PowerShell-based tests are also there. Keep note that it requires PowerShell version 5, and which we support. With ISHDeploy, we support Content Manager versions 13 and version 12 with any patches. So also you can find PowerShell module ISHDeploy on PowerShell Gallery, and with the help of PowerShell, you can even install it with install module command. It's pure PowerShell command that allows you to install different modules from Microsoft repository. So ISHDeploy now can do several things, like it can query available deployments. It can help you with some deployment management. It's more internal and for script writing. It can help you with some basic UI configuration. We only start there. It can also help you to integrate with some security tokens, for example, do a certificate rollover or something like that. And it can help you with configuring, for example, each STF. And without no extra words, let's go and see some PowerShell. So I'll show you the enable session on our testing environment. So first command that you'll met is get ISHDeployment. So what it does, it actually provides you some common info about deployment. So here you can see that on this test environment we have 2 different deployments, version 12.3, and actually with a different name. So what we can use it for? Of course, it has some basic info like path to files or database type, some common info, but also for cases when you have multiple deployments on one environment, it helps you to determine which deployment you are referring to. In case if you have only one deployment on PC, it doesn't matter because all our commandlets will automatically do their work, do their changes on that one deployment. In case if you have 2 deployments like here, for each commandlet you need to provide an extra parameter like ISHDeployment and put the name of deployment that is provided here. So it's kind of basic command. Let's go to something more interesting. So, for example, we have this cool event log bar with kind of buttons which allow you to filter your event log and so on. For example, you want to add custom button here. So, so here, how you can do it. Here is a command script. So at the end, you will use only this command, set ish UI event monitor menu bar. So here, as I mentioned, I provided the deployment name because I have two deployments here. And here is kind of small PowerShell trick, hash. So hash table is kind of dictionary that stores values and keys. So here I created a small hash table where I provided some parameters like label, description, user role, so I can extend it more. Why I did this? Because it makes my scripts more readable. So in case if I will not do this, I'll need to use such command and use all these parameters in line. Not very fancy looking. So I'll comment back and yeah, I want to change state. So command script, few lines of code. Let's wait for system to refresh. We are almost there. Almost there. So here it is. With a simple action, you've added a custom event button. Okay, it's newly created test system, so there are totally no events, so it will show nothing for you, but it's clickable, it's working, so it's everything fine with it. So let's go next for the next example, configuring, for example, word server integration. Here you can see that I'm using another way of combining data. So it looks very similar to hash, but it's actually array. The difference is only in this bracket. In hash, they're curly. So, as you probably already know, for adding new world server mapping, you need to edit like a lot of files, and of course you need to know world server ID. So, for example, we had such configuration with like 10 different languages, and now you want to have also world server integration with Japanese. So the only value you need to know is world server local ID. For testing purposes, let it be like only +1 number, and that is it. You have an array of world server mapping integrations, and you need to call only one command that will do all job for you. So here you also can see that I'm creating a credentials object. It's kind of pure PowerShell. It's just a variable that will hold my username and password. So after you run this command lab, you'll have your world server integration. It's kind of not easy to demo, so let's go to the next one. So it's already more complicated stuff, like applying customization to your HCM folder. It's actually this is our ISHDeploy command line. This copy item is common PowerShell function. So what is the difference? Copy item copies any item to any destination. It's not a big deal. But if you want to copy files to CM folder, it's better to use our command line. Why? Because it will replace install tool parameter placeholders on your destination PC. So what it means? For example, if your file contains this. For example, we have an XML, and you want to know, for example, this. On any system, after you use our commandlet, it will change this value to this value from installing. So you can always get these values, for example, by typing get ISHDeployment parameters. It's now the getter commandlet. So here, it's kind of a list of parameters that you provide in input parameters XML before you install. Yeah, all passwords are here. So how it will work in real life? Here is this a little bit edited script. So what it will do? Here, just for demo purposes, I am setting location to already created folder, custom. Let's see what we have in folder. We have indeed a list of these files. So, and let me show you concept of custom XML. No, I want it. No, plus. So here, what I promised you, here is those install tool parameters. So project suffix, workspace, and this parameter, by the way, is incorrect. So we don't have such parameter by default. So you will see what we do next. So we are copying all files to ish package folder. So it's another ISHDeploy commandlet. In ISHDeploy module, we have our own almost virtual folder, like package folder, which is used for applying some customization files and so on. So first, to apply some customization, you need to copy all your files in that folder. You can always get a path to it with this commandlet. And only then you can call copy HCM file, which will actually copy files from package directory to custom or bin directory, depending on which switch you will select. So, normal work. Here you can see I got a warning about parameter I mentioned, like traffic, focus, web app name is not found. So indeed we don't have that stuff. Let's go to our web Oracle environment, to a custom folder, and here what we see? Two values, two install tool parameters were changed to their values, and that one that is incorrect wasn't. So during the copying, we are doing also a transformation of those files. So it's kind of cool when you apply the same customization for multiple deployments, but in each deployment you have their own values, like some passes, some application name, or something like that. So next, even more complicated stuff. So certificates are lower. Certificates expire everywhere in the world because that forces the world to repress to higher quality certificates, so they need to be stronger than the available computer power to crack them. So all people around the world need to do certificate or lower, something like once per year and a half, once per 2 years, depending on your security policy. But at the end, it's kind of painful procedure to do certificates lower here. With a PowerShell, and not only with the help of ISHDeploy, you can do it almost without no pain. So here's kind of example. It's my script, kind of big one, that is using pure PowerShell without any other extension. So for example, what exactly this script does, it creates you a request to your certification authority. So it creates your signed domain certificate. Then it gets the certificate, changes a web binding for your default website, so for using HTTPS, and doing everything that. So, for example, here I just type expiration date, this, my certificate name, and for example, run the script every day. And when my currently used script will expire within 130 days, it will automatically recreate certificate and use it for HTTP web binding. And then, for example, when I have this certificate, the next step is to go back to our ISHDeploy, and with help of 3 commandlets, 3 because it's kind of very complicated stuff, we will provide your certificate name, your thumbprint, possibly normal thumbprint and not a word thumbprint. So we will provide all this stuff to ISHDeploy, and voila, it will change everything. And after all that changes, for example, you need to restart your deployment. Some web services, so on, that they will use new certificates and so on. So in theory, you can always restart the whole environment. And it's not a bad solution. When you need to restart the environment, if you just can type restart this deployment, provide the name of deployment if you have multiple, run it, and it will reinstall only services, COM+ objects, so all our stuff, not touching all other services that are running on your environment. So back slide. Little bit. For example, you've edited just a couple XMLs and something went wrong and page not found. So in theory, how you will fix it when you done changes manually? If there was a lot of changes and you don't know which change exactly caused this issue, in most cases it's easier to reinstall if you try something. So how to fix if something went wrong with ISHDeploy? Yeah, we are not God. Something always can be wrong. For example, if you provide an incorrect URI or something like that. We have undo ISHDeployment commandlet that will revert all changes, but done only by ISHDeploy commandlet. So this commandlet is not the best way to run on production, but for testing purposes, for writing your own script, it's a very cool helper. What to do if you want to change a file that is not covered by ISHDeploy commandlet? Yeah, we know that we cover not a lot of files, and in some cases you will definitely need to do something manually. You can backup with ISHDeployment, backup ISHDeployment commandlet, and then after you run undo ISHDeployment, it will also revert that file to its initial state. Again, it's only for testing purposes, not a bad idea to run it in production. So, for example, you want to know which commandlet were triggered on a system. So you need to have some kind of history. Impossible is nothing. Voila, get your deployment history, and here is already used, ready for use PowerShell script that actually shows you, indeed, I ran only this commandlet, so it's ready for using. So here you see it shows that I was running set issue event monitor bar item, which I showed to you, and copy HTML file, which I also showed to you. So, okay. As I already mentioned, not everything is covered by ISHDeploy module. There is still plenty of space for improvement. So what to do in these cases if you need something? You can request us, or you can always write some functionality in pure PowerShell, extend some existing code via open source project, or do whatever you want more. So one of open source dogmas is like some methods, write them. And it's also not kind of rocket science if you combine the power of ISHDeploy and the power of PowerShell. You can create, for example, such scripts. So remember this items. For example, you need to have a list of these buttons. For some purposes, you need to know the correct order or something like that. And you don't have such functionality in ISHDeploy. Here's the way how to do it in almost pure PowerShell. So like, I know that I want to use it on this environment, and as I showed you before, this get your deployment provides you web path. So using that web path, I know where I have event monitor bar XML that actually showed that items. I can run simple script that will go to this XML and get me a list of menu bar, menu item labels. I can do whatever I want with this list, but for demo purposes, I will only write them one by one in console. So, voila. You can compare that it's absolutely similar. Okay, for example, you wrote your script, tested it in a sandbox environment, and now you want to apply such configuration, for example, on production, on your other environments, or anything else. And for example, you have 3 different environments. So should you run them one by one on each environment, go in this RDP session on each of them, copying files and so on? No. PowerShell is kind of very powerful tool also in remoting, and not only in remoting. So here is kind of very, very simple example. So here I have a script block that contains all scripts I showed you previously, like wall server mapping, event monitor. So all scripts I showed you previously, I combine them in one script block. Script blocking is a way how you can run a piece of code on a remote PC. So here I have a list of environments. Okay, in theory they should have a normal naming, but never mind. So credentials object, as I already showed you before, it's an object that contains your username and user password. And simple functions. So for each environment, so for test PC1, test PC2, test PC3, we will do the same stuff. So we'll create a session. It's a way how you can use PowerShell remotely. So I'm sitting, for example, on my developer PC, and I want to update 3 testing environments or 3 versions of production or whatever I want. I don't need to go there remotely. I can create a remote PowerShell session, and invoke command will just invoke this script block, and it will do the same code changes on every of environments here. So I'll have 3 environments with same customization on each of them. So where you can use it also is in updating. So now we officially have ISHDeploy 12 for CM versions 12.0.x and ISHDeploy 13 for CM versions 13.x. Yeah, they have different naming and different implementations because of different implementations of CM, but they have same compatibility. So same scripts for customizing can be used for after you upgrade to newer versions. So for example, you upgraded from, we have a script for version 12.0 and you upgraded to version 12.4. You can use your same script, and after you upgrade to newer version 13.1, you can use already another PowerShell module, ISHDeploy 13, because it's designed only for CM13, and use the same script. Commandlet syntax is same, so it will work for you. Okay, if you want to know something more about ISHDeploy, we have also a kind of big doc portal with some articles, examples, and course code commandlet description that was automatically generated. So here is the link, it's clickable, you can always go there and check. So a few words about continuing the conversation. Each webinar we refer back to our community site, so please check it out. There are a lot of information, so you can always go there and check. And the second thing is Tridion Developer Summit in Amsterdam. It will be about Tridion DX, so both Tridion sites and docs. It's focused more on technical, so if you want, contact us and get some info. And that's actually it for presenting. So giving my word back to Christina.
Okay, thanks for presenting today. We are now going to open up the Q&A session. If you have any questions regarding this webinar, please enter the question into the Q&A box. Okay. And we just upload SDL Tridion Docs structured content management and new features in SDL Tridion Docs 13 service patch 1, and what's new in Tridion Docs 13 plus SP1. You can just take a look at the website. Okay, if there is no questions, we are going to wrap up today's webinar. Thank you for presenting today. Thanks to everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any other questions, please contact our speakers directly. You will be soon receiving the email with the recording webinar. We hope it is useful and informative to you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.